Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor, that guy with a quote for everything, as he travels the Vortex and arrive at episode number 386. I'm Keith.
I'm Shaun.
I'm Glenn.
How are you guys?
This has been a long week. I don't know about anybody else, but
It's been busy.
yeah, that too.
Wait, why was your week so busy?
There's just a lot going on. Started with a pretty cool little event thing happening here in town.
How was it?
It was really cool.
What are you talking about?
Of course, the Monday was the Fathom event with this in-theaters screening of the director's cut of Genesis of the Daleks. And I got to go, which was very cool. And I feel kind of bad in a way, because I downplayed it. That, Doctor Who in theaters. We've been there, done that, seen it. And it wasn't until I sat down and the little featurette with Tom started, and it was very cute and funny, and,
So that was at the beginning?
That was at the beginning. There were two. There was one where he was kind of introing it, and then there was the documentary at the end. But, so that was cool. And then right into it, the split screen started, and it was immense.
Still 4x3?
Still by 4x3. Sounded great.
I was worried they were going to try to change some aspect ratio.
Oh, okay.
And it was just kind of like, my God, this is on the big screen. I'm watching Doctor Who in the theater. And then he walked out of the fog and started belittling a Time Lord, and it was just like, this is so cool. But no, it was really cool. It was a lot of fun. And then we got to talk to some people in the lobby afterwards. So
that's good.
If you're joining us on the podcast and you found us and came from that, thank you for joining.
And welcome.
Yeah,
and welcome to the show. This is kind of what we do. But so that was cool.
I watched your review. Sounded interesting. Not sure how I feel about some of the stuff. That sounds like the edits they made, but I look forward to reserving my own judgment.
Yeah, like I said, for the most part, it made sense. There were logical choices that they cut out of the, with the giant clam and some of the capture escape stuff.
Wait, so the giant clam isn't there at all?
Yeah, it's gone.
This is an abomination. You can't have Genesis of the Daleks without the giant clam.
The giant clam was gone. Oh. But it seemed like there was a bit at the beginning because they kind of very quickly get up to the head scientist who's interrogating them. And I was like, it's been a while, but I seem to remember that they kind of went through a lackey, and then there was a captain, and then there was a general, and then they passed him off to the scientific branch. And it was the same set of questions each time, with the Doctor and Harry being, you're that person, okay. But, and then, like I said, there were some of the quick edits at the end where we keep going back to the mouth of the tunnel where they've wired everything to blow, and then what's going on inside, and then back to the mouth of the tunnel. And a lot of that had been truncated down, so it kind of affected the pacing of it. Yeah, I look forward to when the Blu-rays come out, if it's on there. It'll be an interesting thing to watch and just kind of offer up opinions on.
I bet it will be on there.
And that comes out this week, right?
Yeah, Tuesday, I believe.
This week? Yeah.
Oh, does it? I don't have any money. And if you're interested, yes, I posted a video review on our YouTube page, so you can go check it out.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What did you do this week that was so busy?
Oh, well, we had our shower ripped out and a tub put in. So first half of the week was busy dealing with that, and then had a very busy weekend running around doing stuff, and then Father's Day today. Went to the zoo with my dad and the whole family. And it was hot, but we had fun.
We went over to my parents and had lunch, and then had some cake for my birthday, because my parents will be out of town this week. So
Nice.
we watched Cloak and Dagger, or I watched Cloak and Dagger, caught up on it, because it started not this week, but they had a 2-episode premiere, I believe it was.
Okay.
Because there was already 2 episodes on it last week. It's really good. I
Is
really
it?
enjoyed it.
I was worried
yeah.
about it. It looked very teen drama angsty.
It comes across that way in style, but it's kind of like Class. It's a little darker. It's a little, it doesn't feel like a freeform show or a CW show or something. It feels it's a little more dark, and these 2 kids dealing with these powers that they mysteriously have, and it's pretty good. I'm very impressed.
All right, I'll give it a shot now.
We finished Sense8. They aired their series finale.
All said and done, how was it?
Oh, it's so good. The finale's a little also truncated, because you can kind of tell they crammed a season's worth of story into about 2 hours and 40 minutes, but it was still good. It's still a fantastic example. And it was ridiculously satisfying at the end, so that was always good. It's like, yep, I'm good.
Any news this week?
Just one bit of news. They have announced that there will be a Doctor Who panel at San Diego Comic-Con featuring Jodie Whittaker, along with her co-stars Tosin Cole and Mandip Gill, and Chris Chibnall, and the executive producer Matt Strevens.
Very good.
In other news, water, wet.
Of course, if anybody we know that listens to this show is going to be at San Diego Comic-Con and you want to file a report with us, whether you write something in or send us some audio, feel free to contact us and we will definitely get it in the show.
I'm still holding out for our invite. I suspect it was lost in the mail.
Yeah, it always seems to happen, doesn't it?
Yeah. We might have to call somebody. Maybe they switched over to that new...
Switch to MailChimp?
MailChimp, yeah. That's the
Who
problem.
knows?
Cool. Any feedback this week?
No feedback this
If people
week.
wanted to send us feedback, how would they do it?
Just go to our website, travelingthevortex.com, and fill out the Send Us Feedback tab. Or you can send it directly to feedback@travelingthevortex. Or if you want to reach out to us on social media, we're pretty much everywhere. And if you go on our Facebook page, you can click the Send Us Email button on Facebook, and it will send us an email directly to feedback@travelingthevortex.
Sean, if they want to help us out financially, what do they do?
They can go to our website and click on the Patreon button, or they can go to patreon.com and look up Traveling the Vortex, and all donations are accepted. We will gleefully take your money and run with it and invest it into this podcast and do wonderful things with it, like pay for server space and continue to bring you fantastic episodes. Well, we think they're fantastic. Hopefully you do too.
Cool. Should we move on to our review?
Let's! The Bride of Peladon. A mysterious voice, a missing girl, and a murdered queen. The royal house of Peladon is once more plunged into intrigue, terror, and death. The Dr. Perry and Airmen must find their way through the treacherous labyrinth of lies if they are to distinguish friend from foe before it's too late. For deep beneath the citadel of Peladon, something infinitely ancient and immeasurably powerful is stirring.
Bum, bum, bum.
If you follow me on Facebook, you'll know I liked this story.
I don't know if I liked it as much as Glenn did, or as much as the last audio of Peladon we did.
Oh, gosh. This was mounds and above the last audio, in my opinion. Part of it's because there's actually a lot of actors, and not to underplay what David Troughton did.
It's the story that doesn't quite live up to it as I do. And I think my biggest... I think I would have liked the story a lot more had the... I just don't know how I feel about the a siren plot incorporated into Peladon.
See, for me, I think it was probably the first 3/4 of it. I was kind of almost suffering from Peladon fatigue. There was just like, oh, we're doing this again. There's more intrigue, and there's a hidden plot, and wow, this grandmother's kind of a wrenchy woman, and just on and on and on. And it was good, don't get me wrong, but it was just kind of like, I don't know how many times you can do this. And then I kind of kept trying to back off of that, thinking, well, maybe you only feel that way because you just listened to, because realistically, there's only been 4 Peladon stories, right?
Right.
So in the entire history of Doctor Who, they revisit this 4 times. It makes sense that they would reuse some of those themes and everything. But then it was revealed that there was a siren in the basement, and all of a sudden it was like, ooh! Now we're talking. I got real excited at that point. So that for me was where
you're asking a question about how the Osirans played into the story.
I guess I just don't know how I feel about it.
Oh, how you feel about it. Yeah. I think that's what I really liked about this story. Is as Shaun said, we start out with it just feeling like another Peladon story, and I thought, okay, where are we going with this? Well, we've got an Ice Warrior. There we go. We've got Alpha Centauri. Well, there we go. We're checking off the tick boxes, as it goes. Oh, and there are political behind-the-scenes machinations going on, and superstitious beliefs, and actually quite pleased when the beast Agador shows up, only to be revealed that it's one of Agrador's offspring. I thought that was really cool.
And then a female Agador.
Yeah, and it was female. I loved that. But we're checking off the boxes, and I kind of thought, okay, well, this is interesting. I like the fact that they showed up to help the crashing ship of the ice warrior that's crashing to the ground. They end up landing,
Yes.
crash landing the ship.
And then his motivations for crash landing.
But turning out to find out that he actually sabotaged the ship so that they would crash, so he could get in through. I just thought it was really clever.
All to avenge his sister.
So again, it's still checking off the Peladon boxes, but I'm going, okay, this is really an interesting story. Finding about the ghost ship, getting in there that ghosted with them, that it was actually that ship coming in.
Yeah,
that was the only thing that I felt was left maybe a little out there, was what was going on with this. What was even the guy's?
See, I think
species?
that's my thing. And
that one was left wide open. I don't know where we were going with the guy that was
the guy trying to sell the
taking the
salt essentially
salt off the planet. I don't feel like that was resolved. But I kind of.
Is anybody else worried that it was a Cyberman?
I kind of liked that it was.
Cyberman.
No, he said what he was.
Yeah, they said it. But.
When he's initially
worried?
communicating, when he's talking, and the voice modulator was on there.
No,
like,
because
at last I'll get to meet you face to face, and I went, that's going to end badly.
No, because they weren't doing it in any sort of way they had done Cyberman before. So I kind of wondered if he was something different, but not Cyberman. So no, I didn't suspect Cyberman.
I think it was because they hadn't done it the normal way that I went to. Trying to pull one
That's
over
true.
on me,
That would be a clever way to do it. But yeah, just to find out that there's this voice that's calling, and King Peladon, who is hearing what he thinks is his mother, and then her
Peleus, right?
Peleus, and then the voice setting up Araman as who killed his mom, and him buying into that. I thought that was kind of cool too, although he ends up realizing that it's all a ploy. But anyway, this whole mystery of what this thing was, I went 1,000 places with. Cody's in the background.
Cody, come here. You're okay.
He disagrees with you.
I went a whole 100 different ways.
Cody.
I went 100 different ways on what that voice could be or what this is in the background. Never, ever did I think that they had a trapped Egyptian god on the planet that had crash landed. And I thought it was a really clever setup and device to have the different locks where she had to have the blood of different families of royalty, and how she had one of them was the mother, the Queen of Peladon, before that allegedly fell off the horse, and then the ice warrioress, and then succouring Pandora, which I thought was tragic because I was really getting to like her character. Mm-hmm. But it was one of those things where you were like, oh, I really like it, but that's good writing because you made me care about a character, and then you gave me that emotional punch, and so I thought that was good. And then Araman, Girl Out of Time, was supposed to be the last unlock, and I thought that was the one thing too, is I was very concerned about Araman's departure, because I've all along known that Bride was the last story for her. And I was so afraid that something was going to happen, and that they were going to do that. Okay, this will be the companion that we.
Right, I thought they were going that direction.
And and they go almost all the way there. Although when they say, get her out of here, then I thought, okay, well, if you're getting her out of the situation, she's gonna be okay. But
although anticipating her death makes her actual departure seems rather abrupt and sudden.
Yeah.
Which is an odd thing to say, considering death is often abrupt and sudden.
I think they did
they developed the relationship
just
just enough that I was okay. I was like, all right, it's not Joe leaving at the drop of a hat for this guy.
Right.
So it's a little bit more developed than it was in the Green Death. So at least there's that.
They also make a better job of her saying. I think what helps too is her saying, this is my world. This is what I've been looking for.
That's
this
what
is
sold me.
And so I kind of thought, she has found a place that's similar to where she comes from. She's comfortable. To her, this is home.
It's primal.
She can't go home. Yeah, she can't go home. So this is the closest thing.
I think it would make the departure more satisfying had they not tried to couple her off so many times in the past. Like, I know she was struggling to find her home and where she's supposed to be, and that was kind of her thread of, okay, but there was how many fake outs of, I want to go stay with this person. I want to go stay here.
At least Barry does go, you thought that with Dracula. Are you sure?
That's true. Luckily, Perry calls her out on it.
Yeah.
I love Perry in this story.
Yeah, I did too.
Her and the
did
Ice
too.
Warrior together are fantastic.
Yep.
She was so good.
And that was another thing. I really enjoyed the ride with their characters paired up because they crash land together. They get split up. They go off together, and he's doing things that are a bit offensive because of the way he is, and she calls him out on it. He apologizes because he doesn't mean to offend. And so they really kind of have this like, oh, they're developing this really cool relationship, only to have, 20 minutes later him trying to kill her in the castle because he has found the evidence that he needs to accuse Peladon of the murder of his sister. And so they did that turn, and then they turn it back because she's convinces him,
Calls him out on it again.
This isn't necessarily what it seems, and they end up being friends again, and then he ends up giving his life for all of them at the end. And I thought that was really, really good character development of a guy I knew nothing about that was crashing on a spaceship at the very beginning of the story. I thought I really liked the Doctor in this too. I thought he was very clever. He was very Fifth Doctor. He was very. He's the one in the middle putting all the pieces together. But and they put him out of commission a couple of times too, which I thought was that's bold with the Doctor, especially in audio, to put him out early on and put him out later on as well, and let the companions kind of do their things and the other characters kind of do their things as well. I thought that was really good. It's just all around I enjoyed this story so much.
I think probably my only real qualm with the third or the fourth part at the end was when it was being spelled out that it was the Peladon Queen was the first lock, and that the Ice Warrior was the second. And it's like, well, okay, let's do some math here. Who do we have left? Obviously, we've got the grandmother and the king for Peladon, their royalty. We've got the visiting Princess Pandora and Aramim, and nobody says boo about Aramim. Everybody's like, we've got to go protect so and so. It's like, you travel with her. What do you? You're not. Hello, and it's just like, she's obviously going to be involved in this. What are you guys doing? And nobody brought it up. And it's like, did you forget? Are you just so used to her? I don't know. What are they dressing Aram in at this point? Did they put her in a pair of, tomboy, what are they, overalls? And, it's just like, she forget that you're a pharaoh? I don't buy it. But I was okay with it.
I assume that's what she's wearing.
Yeah, I did.
That doesn't scream princess.
Or this, one of these two. A comic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still...
It doesn't. I don't know. I could forgive them for realizing that. Well, she's not really.
It almost seemed like we have to save so and so. Aramim, you go down and fight the bad guy. What?
Well, it wasn't.
I got the impression that they thought it was more someone embroiled in a situation,
right?
Long-standing,
exactly.
As opposed to.
And he does say,
fresh blood.
Don't let the Queen Mother go down there because obviously, if it's looking for royalty.
But no, that was for me. That was just the cool twist. It's in a siren.
I was kind of waiting for the thing that she was wearing that was supposed to protect her from whatever this Osiris. I can't remember the Osiris name, but
her Ankh.
Yeah, her Ankh. I was waiting for it to have to protect her, and I assume that's what she pricked herself with to poison her blood. Right? Did I get that right? Okay,
yeah, I believe so.
Because
her ring,
but it wasn't from her. It was a signet ring. Yeah, that's what it was. And that was what I was like. Okay, she's obviously got protection from this thing. So when are we going to see this? Because I'm setting it up in my mind. What is this? Protection that she's got over. I should know who this is. I can't remember her name.
Sekhmet.
But so I'm thinking she's got protection over. And then when she says, okay, now, and so when she's giving herself up and sacrificing herself in there, I thought, okay, this is where it's coming. And then when she says, I pricked my finger and poisoned my blood, and I thought, Now, what kind of protection is that? So that doesn't protect you. That protects everybody else. But I thought that was clever too. I was okay. I gave it a pass. But I was like, oh well, yeah. Here's Araman. Here's where she goes away.
I
Noble
wonder,
sacrifice. Good job, girl.
You could do either way with that. Was the Ankh set up to be was it really going to be like some sort of technological shielding and protection in that regard? Or was it superstitious, and that's why we had to go with the ring? Did the writer forget that he had set that up and went with this? I don't know. It was like,
remember who set up the Ankh?
Was the Ankh on the ring? Maybe we just misunderstood. Maybe.
I suppose that could.
Maybe that's what it was.
I thought the Ankh was like a necklace.
Well, when she said that, I thought the same thing. But I suppose now maybe the Ankh. That's what she was shown was her signet.
She said
ring.
signet. So.
Because the Ankh was from a previous story, right? Or was it?
It seems like I had remembered that, but I wasn't for sure.
Because there wasn't anything in the audio. This audio itself referencing it.
Not until she said it.
Right, which was the signet ring.
No, she says it at the beginning. She talks when she's talking about that goddess early on.
Yeah,
she explains that she was given this, and she shows it to the doctor and says it's to protect me from, it was protection against whatever her name is.
And maybe the fact that the doctor didn't immediately comment, "Oh, it's a blah 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 generator."
Well,
that should have been an indicator. That
maybe because it's doesn't even really. I mean, it was you said technological or superstitious, and it doesn't end up being either. It's a chemical thing, and
right.
So I thought that was kind of cool. So it doesn't play off that way. I was just excited to get another mention of an Osiren because
we haven't had too many.
No, we've had
other than the Titan comics.
Had Sutek and we've had Anubis.
Yeah.
So this was kind of cool.
And that's a species that's just rife with possibilities.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And being locked away in the basement is just.
So I think my biggest complaint with it is it's almost overstuffed. And like you were talking about the minor plot line, minor.
It works both ways.
The minor plot line. It felt like that should have been. So it feels like they were trying to misdirect us the whole time, so we didn't suspect whatever the big reveal of the Osiren. And I think that is almost to its detriment because there was so much jammed into this story that had they not been trying to misdirect us and just given us this weird mystery of where these princesses went, and queen, etc., we could have developed Aramim and the king's relationship a little bit more, so it was a little easier to swallow them her leaving, as opposed to this cramming yet another plot line into the story, calling back to previous Peladon stories with the mining issues.
Was it trisilicate? Is that what it was? They were.
Yeah, trisilicate.
Trisilicate is what they were mining,
which is a huge plot of Curse of Peladon.
And I think I wonder if that was misdirection intended so that or are we going to get a trisilicate story later with this guy that came and killed off everybody? Actually he didn't even kill off everybody.
Captured him, and so he's getting taken
right.
back. He was essentially arrested.
That's right. I forgot that she had. It's almost now that you say it, it's almost like they decided
it was
a
dropped story.
They
just kind of dropped it because it resolved itself.
Well, and they kind of wrote it in such a way that I forgot that was resolved. I was thinking that was left wide open, but they did resolve that with. In fact, that's where it feels like the story's beginning to wrap up.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I kind of feel like that. Here we're drawing to an end, and then we go on with this deeper Osiris. We've got a dispatch of Sectec.
They gave Alpha Centauri something to do. A cool heroic moment.
Yep.
Yeah. I wish it was this original actress, but
Yeah, that was a little bothersome too, because they went above and beyond to get the original actress for Empress of Mars.
Right.
And
I figured they were able to get her for Empress because Big Finish had gotten her, but that's not the case.
Maybe Big Finish just didn't think what? You'd come back for that?
That would have been a bigger role and bigger pay.
Nobody
come back for that.
Isn't
right?
that lady in her 90s now or something like that?
Yeah,
so maybe
old.
this was too much, but doing a quick little voiceover on the show might have been easier.
Because I don't imagine she sounds like that. She probably has to project that voice too.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I agree with the wrap up being very, very sudden. I don't know that developing an Aramim love story, at least even pushing a little bit more in it, because then it would have been this awkward love triangle with, because
Pandora.
you genuinely feel like, even though it's an arranged marriage, that Pandora and the king are really kind of hitting it off. And I think the king's hitting it off. The Pandora I got the impression she had no interest.
I disagree entirely with both sides of that. I feel like they both arrived at the fact that there was a mutual friendship, and that's what it always would be, even though they knew they still were going to go through the wedding. I got the impression they both kind of respected the fact that we're not in love with each other. That was the way it kind of came across eventually. So
I got the impression that he was interested at first, and then when he realized she wasn't, he was like, all right, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Oh, look, here's Aramim.
yeah.
That's how it came. It felt like, oh, yeah, I'd really like to. Oh, nope. Okay. Oh, hello, someone over here.
Yeah, maybe. I kind of felt like he was going through the motions too. So
Yeah, I don't think they were head over heels for each other. But
absolutely
it seemed
not.
more like, okay, yeah, we could make this work. Like they could grow to love each other. Maybe not.
that's why you had to get rid of Pandora, so Aramim wouldn't seem so awkward stepping in there.
But then at the end, when it's, yeah, I'm staying here. Oh, okay. Then we get another wonderful Perry moment with,
You can't go.
come here, you big goof.
Best friend.
And then an even more wonderful Perry moment. Well, don't worry, Doctor. When it comes my time to leave, I'm not going to go marry some
alien king.
alien warlord king.
That was awesome. That was such a telegraph moment. I loved it.
So this is Perry's last mainline story, too.
So are they off to
I guess they're off.
Castrovalva now?
Yeah.
Until they...
Not Castrovalva.
Adrazani.
Adrazani, yeah. One of the big long planet names. Adrazani, yeah.
At least until they decide to shoehorn another story
Yeah,
or
right,
companion in that slot.
There is another audio later, Perry and the Piscon Paradox, but that's kind of it's got the Fifth Doctor in it. But that's
There's another
that's the last pairing.
side story too that has Aramim in it that we skipped past, but I can't remember why we skipped it.
Yes, there is.
There is
Why did we skip past it, Sean?
reasons.
Good reasons.
It's set after this one.
So this wasn't our last Aramim story.
It's the end of an era. Aaron official travels with the Doctor. But I didn't want to spoil the surprise, Mr. I'm convinced she's going to die.
Fair enough.
Looks
like there's two specials.
I was spoiled on it just from the standpoint that when setting this up and, Bride of Peladon, and I knew that Aramim was leaving,
Well,
I was like, oh, I see where you're going with that.
See, I initially thought that going into it, but then once Pandora showed up, I was like, oh, maybe they will kill her. And started convincing myself otherwise.
No, I'd read just enough to know that she wound up staying on Peladon. So, but yeah, the other Aramim stories are like my understanding is that they're set after this. So that was done on purpose.
One of them is with Perry and Aramim, so that's why it was.
And
I didn't
Sophie
realize it was set after. I thought it was a little sidestep during.
It may have
their
been
adventures.
written or published after too, So it may go back and be set during, but
Okay. Not from what I read, but I'll trust you because you've been following it closer than I have.
I freely admit I'm wrong all the time. So.
Cool. Anything else on this story you guys want to talk about?
I'm a little surprised that now, but your top two mainline
Our fifth Doctor.
are Fifth
stories,
Doctors,
aren't they?
which is really kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well, it's not surprising because there are a lot of Fifth Doctor audios out there, and I have a few that are McCoy and a few that are Colin Baker. I really feel like Tom's stories have kind of underserved him as a character. They've been good. I've enjoyed them, but there hasn't been any ones that wowed me. And so I think with 5 having so many under his belt, I think the odds of him being some of my favorites are greater than Tom's or anybody else. Maybe even 8. Problem with 8 is there's a big chunk of his series that I didn't like when he was still in the main range or monthly range. So that Divergent Universe kind of knocked his odds down. But so I guess it is. I thought the same thing. I thought, wow, 2 Fifth Doctor stories are among my top favorite Big Finish audios. But on the flip side, there are so many Fifth Doctor audios out there that the odds were pretty good.
Well, and they seem to really strive to do different things with the Fifth Doctor more so than the other Doctors, it seems. Like wanting to do a Cybermen origin story and doing a revisit of Peladon with the Fifth Doctor where it makes it different enough, but it's still Peladon. I mean, it seems like they're really, really focused on doing different things with him that they didn't do on TV.
Right.
And later we get another Key to Time saga.
Right.
With the Fifth Doctor.
But to be quite fair,
and 6th is more about justifying him as a character than anything.
The Fifth Doctor also probably has more on the bottom of my Big Finish list as well, because you've got that
especially the early stuff.
Necromantia, which I didn't think was very good. Very early on, we had the
werewolf one. The
ghost
one.
Well, the werewolf one wasn't that bad, but the ghost one and the one with the ancient ruins that they were digging up, and
that ice one,
something for the Adept,
Winter for the
Adept.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of stinkers. So he it certainly balances out. In fact, there was a long time that we were doing audios that I cringed having to. Every time you would put a Fifth Doctor one on, I thought, oh, great, here we go. And it had nothing to do with Peter Davison or his performance.
Right.
He was just having
It was just a good line
string of bad audio.
It seemed like they struggled really to find the right story to tell with him.
Yeah.
But they get there in the end.
Oh, yeah, always.
Well, I think I was always setting the bar, everything up against Spare Parts, since that was the very first Big Finish audio I'd ever heard. So
that's
high bar setting the bar very, very, very high. So.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I'm kind of sad to see Airman go. I've liked her as a character.
I have too.
I think it's because we've spread this out over a few years, but I don't feel like we've had a lot of stories with her for some reason. And maybe that's because considering how long, when you take into account television stories and audio stories, how long we've had certain companions, it kind of makes it feel like we've had a lot of stories with them. But Ehrman, we've probably had, like 24 stories, or maybe not even that much, but a dozen or so stories. But it just doesn't feel like she's been around that long, is it? So it's 12 stories. So it doesn't feel like she's been around that long, but 12 stories is a lot of stories for Big Finish.
That's a year's worth.
Yeah.
That's about
considering it's the monthly range.
That's about the same as what we would have Leela for, not including audio.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Or, Perry.
I guess just because we've had Evelyn around for so...
Or Dodo.
Semantics.
Actually, that's fewer, I suppose. All right, what do we got coming on the schedule, Shaun?
Well, coming up on the schedule, next week we return to the Brigverse in our episode 387 with a look at The Man from Yesterday by Nick Walters. And then the following week, the Eighth Doctor makes a return with some audio adventures from his season. I have this as season 2, but we're actually in season 3.
Yeah.
Number 5, The Scapegoat, and number 6, The Cannibalists. I really am quite excited to get your guys' take on those. I'm not going to say anything other than that. Some Big Finish main range work with You're the Pig, number 90, the week after that. And then we start our look at the Daleks master plan.
Woohoo!
With more details on how that's going to be broken down.
To come. Cool. Anything else we need to address this week? We kind of got it all out of the way.
I do want to throw around I mentioned at the Fathom event, the wonderful people that we spoke with, and I forgot to mention Gary Yeager, who is the kind of head guru in charge of the Time Lords of Kansas, was there.
Oh,
and
good.
I told him I would throw a shout out his way, and then spaced it off. So Gary, this one's for you. And if you're in Kansas and you're not a member of Time Lords of Kansas, well, you can go to his Facebook page, just Time Lords of Kansas, and become a member of that group.
That's right. Very good. Well, this is a short one this week, guys.
Yeah.
So that's going to do it for this week. Until next week, I'm Glenn.
I'm Shaun.
I'm Keith.
Cheers. I forgot what my line was.
Are you okay? You haven't been taken over by an siren, have you?
No.
Are you hearing somebody talk to you? Somebody from the basement?
That's what I was pausing for. I was listening to the voices.
I'm Shaun.
You already did that.
I already did that.
I just threw it all off,
Threw
didn't I?
everything off.
Good night. Yeah, no.
Yeah, you're good
Is it
night,
good night,
everybody.
everybody? Yeah. Cheers. Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you.
Well, I'll say thanks for listening together. Thanks for listening. Let's get something right.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.